Ricochet. I'm happy to be here. It is a very busy time of year for us, and we get lots of calls this time of year, not only from people who are being approached by organizations wanting to uh, get a donation from someone, but also from people just wanting to give and not knowing who to give to. And so they're calling us for information on, what is a legitimate charity? Who can we give to? And we're trying to help them navigate those kinds of questions. But I would start by saying, here's an example of what we're trying to avoid happening at the holidays is someone who might come at you and say, hey, I'm going to go down to the park here in Columbia, South Carolina. I'm going to feed the homeless on Christmas Eve, and I'm looking for donations, whether it's food or money or anything you would like to give to me, just someone you don't even know. And, I might say there are 500 homeless people that spend the night in this park down there every single night, and they're hungry and starving. And I might just try and tear at your heartstrings and try and get you to give to something. But one of the things I want to try and implore you to do after this presentation is to, give from the heart, but give smart. Learn today some resources you have from our office that can help you know who to give to, or just how to know whether someone is a legitimate charity, someone who's properly registered with our office. So let's say that if you were tempted to give to me when I said I was going to go feed the homeless, let's hope that at the end of this, you're going to say, and I probably shouldn't because I don't see, Kim's charity registered on the Secretary of State's office. And let me tell you how to go about learning how to do that and how to spot someone who might not be properly authorized to solicit and fundraise in the state of South Carolina. So let's get started. And I'm going to start by giving you some stats here on how much is at stake here. What are we talking about? So in South Carolina's nonprofit sector, it employs just under 90,000 people. 5.4% of the state's workforce are working for the nonprofit sector in South Carolina. It generates more than $17 billion in annual revenue, holds assets of just under $37 billion. And South Carolina foundations annually give $187 million. That's a ton of money going to nonprofit organizations. And South Carolina, just people like you and me, give $2.7 billion to charity each and every year, representing 4.2% of our household income. So we're not talking peanuts here. We're talking about a good chunk of money, and even more reason to do your due diligence and make sure that these organizations you're giving to are not only registered and properly, registered with our office for transparency reasons, but that they're doing what they say they're doing with the money that you're going to give them. Secretary of State's office is charged with enforcing the Solicitation of Charitable Funds Act that covers charitable organizations, professional fundraising companies, commercial co-ventures. Also, the appeals from charities and professional fundraisers that come in the form of contracts or phone calls or mailings that you might get. Also, Nonprofit Raffles for Charitable Purposes Act. We oversee that as well. If you're not aware, raffles are actually illegal in the state of South Carolina if they're being conducted by an organization that is not a nonprofit corporation, among other things, and we'll go over those details later. So let's look at some steps that you can take to educate yourself before you donate. First, what we're going to look at are the charitable organizations. So a charity is defined as an individual or an organization that's been determined by the IRS to be a tax-exempt C3 organization. Or it could be an individual or an organization that holds itself out to be established for any benevolent, social welfare, scientific, educational, environmental, public health, civic, or other nonprofit purpose, or for the benefit of law enforcement personnel, firefighters, or other persons who protect public safety. that pretty much is anyone who has a charitable purpose, right? We also capture an organization that has a charitable appeal. And what we mean by this is that they might not be a nonprofit corporation, they might not be tax exempt, but it might be a for-profit entity that has a charitable appeal, such as an organization that maybe has an employee emergency fund. So they solicit from their own employees to build up the fund should someone have a personal emergency. Some of them do it for their local community that the corporation is housed in. And so those for-profits, even though they're not a nonprofit and they're not tax exempt, they are also required to register with our office because they have a charitable appeal. So who needs to register as a charity? Anyone that solicits contributions in the state of South Carolina or has contributions solicited on their behalf must submit either a registration statement or an application for exemption with the Secretary of State's office prior to any solicitation being given out by any means, whether it's mail, email, a Facebook post, a website. They've got to register with our office. There's a small group that are excluded from this law. Those would be churches or religious organizations that are deemed to be religious by the IRS and don't have to provide a financial report to the IRS. Those also have an exclusion in here in South Carolina. Another example would be a PTA, not a PTO, but a PTA that doesn't use a professional fundraising company, and the local Chamber of Commerce are not required to register with us unless they use a professional fundraising company. So charitable solicitations come in all shapes and sizes. It could be a door-to-door solicitation, it could be someone calling on the phone, it could be a mailing that you get. It can be a website, it can happen on your social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, any of those social media avenues. They can fundraise through raffles. There's give to text out there. There's crowdfunding websites. And then there's the old table outside the store, which we've seen in front of many of our stores here, whether it's soliciting for buying Girl Scout cookies or supporting the homeless or the veterans or you name it, anything out there, local ball team. We've seen it all in front of those stores. Just because they're there, just because they say they're a nonprofit, doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do what they say they're going to do on their sign. It's really important for you to research the organization and contact our office, get on our website, use our mobile app. We're going to show you all that at the end of the presentation here. Really important for you to educate yourself on exactly who it is that's out there trying to solicit a donation from you. So when we talk about crowdfunding, we're talking about GoFundMe or Facebook or some social media where they're just putting it out there for anyone and everyone who wants to donate. They count on people putting a post out there and then your friends seeing your post and putting it out there to all their friends. So it's important to know, who are you actually giving to? Because when you go to a crowdfunding website and donate to an organization, you want to make sure that you know where your money's going, because often these crowdfunding sites, your money actually goes into a donor advised fund that belongs to the crowdfunding website and not to the actual charity. And once they get the charity on board to sign up with their company to accept the donations that have been given to them already, then they give it to the charity, but only if the charity agrees to sign up with them and give them bank access so that they can make deposits. Really important to read the fine print so you know that your money doesn't go directly to the charity in most cases. So I can't say the percentage that happens in, it's a high percent, but read the fine print before you donate. The other thing to know is how much is going to go to the charity, because you might give $10, but maybe only $8.50 is going to make it to the charity because there's processing fees And then there's a maintenance fee that the crowdfunding site might take out to just host that platform. So again, read the fine print to know how much of the money that you donate is going to go towards the charity. Another thing they might ask you to do is you give 10, and then at the end, they're going to say, would you like to add another $1.50 or whatever their percentage is to cover that cost, so that it doesn't come out of your donation? At least there's more transparency that's right there in front of you on the screen when they do that. But still, you need to know that you have options for whether you cover that cost or don't cover that cost. And it's really important that you know that you need to look at that. Be extra careful of fundraising companies that appear right after a disaster. So you might see on Facebook or GoFundMe, all of a sudden this new charity shows up and they're going to raise money to help with flood victims. Make sure that you do your research. When were they formed? If they were just formed the month that this disaster happened, that could be a potential problem. They might actually not have tax exempt status because it takes a little time to get that, more than a few months. They also may not be equipped to handle the influx of large amount of dollars that come into them. So you may be given to someone who actually doesn't end up doing anything with the money as intended, or it doesn't reach the people that you're really trying to help. So be really careful about who you are giving to and do your research. Are these people registered? How long have they been established? What is their track record on spending as far as how much actually goes to their charitable purpose? Make sure you do your research and get these things, in your head the way, and be sure that it's what you want to spend your money on before you actually give. Before you donate, ask for the legal name of the organization. So you might find some organizations out there that have very, very similar names. You want to make sure that you're giving to the one that you intend to give to. Cancer Fund of America is not the same as the Cancer Fund of Louisiana. It's not the same. Breast Cancer Society is not the same as the Breast Cancer Foundation. Two different organizations. The names are very important. So make sure when you search that you find out which one you're giving to. Where are they located? The other thing you want to ask before you give to someone is how much of your donation will go towards their program services. So that's the charitable purpose. So if they are going to say, we're going to feed the homeless, then on their financial report that you can view on our website, you should be able to see a section on there that says how much they spent feeding the homeless out of all the money that they spent for the entire year. Very important to know what those percentages are and what they're doing with the money. Be wary of solicitations that ask you to pay in cryptocurrency, prepaid debit cards, gift cards, wire transfer, or bank transfer. We've already heard this from the two that spoke before me. Super important, because once you give this kind of information away, you're opening yourself up to a whole host of other possibilities, and that money is gone once you give through one of those means at this point. So be very careful to do none of those types of payments. Let's look at professional fundraisers. So there's two types of professional fundraisers we're going to look at here. The first type is called a commercial co-venture. So a sample here of a commercial co-venture between Portillo's and St. Paul AME Church. Now, if it was a church in South Carolina, it would not need to be registered with us, but it could be a local high school booster club on this poster. So it's between a commercial entity. So a commercial co-venture is a for-profit company that, for the benefit of a charitable organization, they raise funds by advertising that the purchase or use of goods, services, entertainment benefits a charitable organization. So here we've got an advertisement that Portillo's is going to give 20% of all the proceeds to benefit St. Paul AME Church. That is a classic commercial co-venture. If any two companies, a company and a nonprofit, enter into an agreement like this, that agreement and then a subsequent joint financial report must be on file with our office. The agreement before the event takes place to let everyone know that they are going to, they have an agreement and that they are going to give X percentage of the sales to the nonprofit, and then the joint financial, when the campaign is over or the event is over, will tell us and the public how much of the money that they took in actually ended up with the nonprofit organization. So that's a commercial co-venture. Professional fundraisers, another kind we're going to look at is a professional solicitor. It can be an individual or a company that solicits contributions on behalf of a charitable organization. So again, same pictures as the charity, but the same scenario can happen door to door. You could have a professional fundraiser that's knocking on doors asking for contributions. You could have someone calling. Those have really picked up, even on my own phone. Lots of calls, people wanting you to donate, and flyers and all kinds of mail coming in, requests to send a check with a payment to help, cure someone with cancer, give to a hospital foundation. All great causes, but you have to make sure who you're giving to, whether they're registered or not, and what they do with their money again. And then again, the fourth picture is just another table set up out of the store. We see them all the time. We saw just in our own neighborhood here, we had a professional fundraiser not registered with us that had parked and set up camp outside a UPS store. They were not very well versed in the law. They knew that they wanted to get a donation for a veterans cause, but they were not aware of any of the legal requirements that they had by just setting up camp there. So be really careful, because someone could have given to them, and someone probably did, but since they weren't registered with us, we have no idea what's happening with that money. So another reason why you need to look and make sure that you do your research before you give. When you get a call from someone, here's the things that you want to listen to for. They're required to say that they are a paid solicitor, and this is at the beginning of their call. They're required to provide the registered name, location, and purpose of the charitable organization for which it is soliciting. And they're required to provide the registered true name of the professional fundraising organization for which it works. You should ask the following questions. Are both the charity and the professional fundraiser you're working for registered with the Secretary of State's office? If not, perfectly okay to either hang up or walk away. No registration, no transparency to the public for what they're doing with the money that is being trusted to them. Will my contribution be used for services in my local area or state? So just because they have a post office box or a local mailing address in South Carolina where you're going to send a check back to, that does not mean that that's where the money is going to get spent. That's just a local touch, feel good for us here to encourage us to give to someone in South Carolina, when in reality, a lot of those donations don't stay in South Carolina. Is my contribution tax deductible? That's a great question that you need to know. They need to be able to provide you with a tax ID and even a copy of their IRS determination letter to know that your contribution will be tax deductible for that organization. What percentage of the donation goes to the charity? So when you have a nonprofit that is doing business with a professional fundraising company, those companies don't work for free. The Better Business Bureau says 65% is a reasonable amount. We see that a lot of the professional fundraisers maybe only give about 40% to the charity. So make sure you ask what percentage of the money goes to the charity, what percentage stays with the professional fundraising company. It makes a big difference. And there's a lot of players out there in the professional fundraising arena that keep most of the money for themselves. Will you mail me a copy of the charity's most recent financial report, as well as the professional solicitor's current registration certification on file with our office? they're required to mail these to you within 15 days. If they don't, you may absolutely file a complaint with our office that you did not receive the information. Give us the name of the professional fundraiser and the charity involved, and we will go to work on getting that information for you and making sure that they're registered with our office. So if you're satisfied, go ahead and give. If you're not, do some more and further investigation on your own. Call our office if you need to. Go on our website to look them up if you like. Raffles, another way that organizations will do fundraising. The South Carolina law defines raffle as a game of chance in which a participant is required to pay something of value for a ticket for a chance to win a prize. And the winner is determined by a random drawing or similar process in which all participants have an equal chance of winning. So you have to be registered with our office as a charity to conduct a raffle. There's no two ways about it unless you're a church. And those are the only exceptions. If you have a small raffle, that's considered what we determine as an exempt raffle, which has prize values of no more than $950, or it's a membership 50-50 raffle. Some of those are not required to be registered. But if you ever have a raffle that you are considering getting involved in and you just aren't sure if it's legitimate or not, just give us a call. We are happy to help you out with determining that. Here's a good raffle advertisement. It shows what's required when someone advertises a raffle. If you do not see an advertisement that has the similar components here, then you should stop and give us a call to see whether or not it is a legitimate raffle, because if they're not registered and they're not following this format for their advertisement, then there could be a problem. It might not be a legitimate raffle. So it's got the name of the sponsoring organization. It shows who is going to benefit from the net proceeds for the raffle. And it shows in the past 2 years, how many or what percentage of all the raffle receipts directly supported their charitable purpose. So if you don't see something similar to this, well organized, well thought out, with enough detail to make you comfortable, probably a raffle you want to skip, or give us a call and we'll help you determine. Before you donate, don't give out your personal information to someone soliciting a donation. This can be as valuable as cash to a criminal who may try and convince you to part with your credit card or bank card data, phone numbers, addresses, and more. Make sure you research charities before donating. Be careful of charities that pressure you to donate quickly. Ask any cold caller to send you information about the charity through the mail. BEWARE is an acronym we like to use to help you to remember what to do. Bills or invoices mailed to you from charities you've not pledged money to. Don't give in to those. Don't give to those. Evasive, vague answers to specific questions about charity and how the money will be used. If you don't get a clear answer, then you should walk away from that. Words making up the charity's name that sound like more well-known charities. Again, do the research on our website, see if the organization is registered, and go from there. Avoid giving solicitors your credit card numbers. Refusing to mail you further information requesting cash donations. They should absolutely not, you should never give cash. And if they don't give you the information you need, that's a no for soliciting, for contributing to that organization. Emotional appeals and high pressure tactics to get you to make a quick decision or feeling guilty about not contributing. That is absolutely a red flag. No legitimate charity is going to pressure you into giving. They're not going to keep after you. They're not going to try and say, well, we'd like $50 and well, could you do just 25 or how about 20? That is not, that's a tactic of a professional fundraising company or someone who just wants your money and doesn't want you to do a lot of looking. They just would do anything to get anything out of you. So how can you find these organizations and how can you do it quickly? Sometimes you're at a store and someone's right there and they they sound great. You really kind of like what they stand for, and you're thinking, how do I know whether or not I can do this or not? We 3 days ago just launched our brand new app. It's called Give Smart SC. It's available in the Apple Store and the Google Store, Google Play, and it is super easy to do. Once you download it, this search charities field comes up, and you can type in just the word. I use the example here of unicorn. I wanted to find the Unicorn Children's Foundation, but I couldn't remember if it was Children's Unicorn Foundation or what it was. So I went ahead and picked the word unicorn. Anytime you have a unique part of the name, that's going to kind of narrow down your search and help you find what you're looking for easily. Once I selected the Unicorn Children's Foundation, it gave me 3 pieces of information. It gave me the organization's registration number. It told me it was in fact registered, the president's name, and in this case, it gave us the registration specialist name and told us that it's located in Vista, California. Gives us the financial report year that is being reported, and then the 5 numbers, the total revenue, the program expenses, the total expenses, the net assets, the fundraising costs, and then you have an opportunity to go ahead and click on the link in the screen, and you can pull up the financial report and check out all the details yourself. And then that magic number that everyone wants to know when they call our office is what percentage goes to their charitable purpose. And in this case, it is 65.6%. Another way you can check on charities with our office is to use the search feature on our website. If you go to sos.sc.gov, you will see a search link. Once you click on that, it's going to pull up the table, and you'll see that there is a place to search for charities, professional fundraisers, and raffles that are all registered with our office. On this page, you can also click on the charitable solicitation complaint form in the top right corner of the screen and fill out an anonymous charitable complaint, and we will have one of our investigators will contact you. If you leave us your contact information, we will get as much information that we can from you regarding either a call or a mailed-in solicitation or an in-person solicitation, or even a billboard you saw that you can't find on our website. And we will go to work and take care of getting that organization registered or get them to stop soliciting in South Carolina. And that wraps up my presentation. I did send ahead of this presentation that can be given out to anyone who wants it, a crowdfunding and online giving brochure and our WISE charitable giving brochure as well. Those are all available on our website, on our charities page. And of course, if you prefer, you can always give us a call or an email to myself or our Public Charities Division at 803-734-1790. If you would like to call and talk to anyone in our office about a charitable solicitation question. That is all I've got for you today, and I'm happy to take questions now.
Well, thank you so much, Kim. That was such great information, so important for this time of year. I especially love that y'all have the app now, which makes it so convenient when you, especially this time of year, when you come up with those tables at the store, or you're asked, oh, do you want to add $2 or $1.50 to your purchase to go to this charitable organization? You can just look them up right there. That is a really great tool, and you guys do such a great job there under the direction of Secretary Mark Hammond, and I know your Public Charities division that you're director of is just fantastic. I love this. And we will link those brochures down below when we post the video of today's presentation on our YouTube channel. Or, as you said, you can go right to the Secretary of State website and download those yourself.